Hey, live from Sedona. Let's see.
And then this.
All right,
here,
there we
right?
are.
Just click on that one.
What's up? Yep. We're ready. Hi,
Okay.
everybody.
Hi.
Whoever's here now. We're here now with you all. Just doing a little live stream. We wanted to do a little sharing. Oh wow, yeah. We have screens everywhere. So we're just we're breathing.
Breathing. Okay.
No, we're excited to share with you all. We're gonna launch a course this weekend starting called Embodiment of the Divine. And each weekend for the next 4 weekends, we're going to be sharing about different deities. This first weekend, we're sharing about Ganesha and Saraswati. And we're starting with the auspicious beginnings. You know, removing obstacles. Ganesha is known as removing obstacles and auspicious beginnings. And Saraswati also clearing the way for grace and for arts, for the wisdom. So all that coming through this weekend.
Yeah. So I'm going to start sharing a little bit about Saraswati.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with Ganesh?
We just want to do a quick little preview for you guys, because in case some of you might be interested in joining us at some point, you can join us each weekend individually, or the whole course, all 4 weekends. And so we just thought we'd give you a little sneak preview to a little bit of what we'd like to share with you all. So today we're just going to do a little bit of a talk, maybe some practices that will just enhance your experience with the deities.
And another really cool thing about this course is that we've arranged it so we're doing, the 2 deities a weekend, and we're starting with Ganesh and Saraswati this coming weekend, as Ananda said, and we're aligning it with the directions. So this will be beginning in the east, just as we start on the medicine wheel. And the east is really, we felt the energetic alignment with Ganesh and Saraswati, because it is like the new day, the home of the sunrise, the new opportunities. Facing east, it's the creativity, the inspiration, and so it's kind of like this new, fresh opportunity. And Ganesh and Saraswati are heralding that in for us. And then as the next weekend will be the south, and that's Lakshmi and Krishna. And the south on the medicine wheel, of course, is the time of like the harvest and abundance, and enjoying like the height of the summer, when the gardens are full, and this community, and dancing and singing and celebrating, and just really enjoying life in a lot of dimensions like that. So that will be Lakshmi, the abundance, and Krishna, the playful, beautiful musician, just lover of life. And then as we move to the next weekend, it'll be Durga and Hanuman, and that's the west. And the west is the time of maturing and ripening, and as we deepen our connection with spirit and our own dharma and our own destiny. And so this is Hanuman and Durga, like stepping out for the deeper sense of service in our life and purpose. And then in the north, we're going to finish the last weekend with Kali, and then Shiva. So Kali will be on Halloween, and then Shiva will be coinciding on the Day of the Dead, which just it just amazingly happened that way. And so that's going to be a really, really amazing time, and right before Election Day. And so we just thought it'd be a really, it's pretty auspicious times right now, undergoing a lot of transformation on many levels, as we all know that right now. And we thought it'd be a really great time to focus on divine aspects, and as they show up in humanity, in our human forms. And that's one of the reasons we love the deities of India so much, because they help us to understand and expand our consciousness and our awareness of what it is to be human, and mostly the good qualities, the divine qualities, the superpowers that we are capable of manifesting in our lifetime, really. So everything's possible. Yeah, so we hope that
everything is possible. Please always remember everything.
So why don't we start with Ganesh, actually? That seems
all right. So this weekend we have a weekend for celebrating and honoring and connecting with Ganesha and Saraswati. So we start with Ganesh. Ganesh is known as the remover of all obstacles. He just clears the way. So we chant, we invoke, we make offerings, prayers to Ganesha. Classic Bija mantra of Ganesha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Let's do that together. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. 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 So I love Ganesh. Ganesh is one of my all-time favorites, and I just, what he represents is so beautiful because he's typically very jolly, very playful, very depicted as dancing or always carrying sweets, reminding us to enjoy and appreciate the sweetness of life. And so he's very much like he represents a lot of contentment, like how to be content in the moment, to cultivate that contentment in this moment with just the sweetest moment, the sweetest nectar, whatever that is for you, whatever that is for you in this moment. How can you cultivate contentment? How can you cultivate joy? That's just the joy of being, joy of existence. But it's also important to know that Ganesha has a fierce side. And the name Ganapati is actually a name that is him as the leader of the forces of Shiva's forces of light. So he's the general. And he invokes and he leads the forces of light in the battlefield. He has his axe. He has his noose. And he says, I'm going to cut the noose of karma so that you can align, that we can align with Dharma, that we can align with our true authentic self. And so I always love that about Ganesh, that there's just this wide, full spectrum, where he can be so playful, so fun, jolly, enjoying life, sweets, dancing, but also strong, fierce, committed, loyal. He's, he's the one who wrote down Vedas, according to the mythology, that he breaks his tusk off. He didn't have a pen. Couldn't find a pen. You know that moment when you can't find a pen? Like, where the hell is that pen? Ganesh is like, I got this. Bam! Broke off the text. So that's one of his names, the one tusked. And then he was dictated. Vyasa, the great rishi, the great grandfather rishi, to dictate the Vedas, the wisdom teachings from India, from all over the world, like the wisdom teachings of Earth. So there he is writing down. So therefore, Ganesh is invoked for also for wisdom, for deep sense of knowing, for the timeless, eternal teachings. That's what the Vedas are, the eternal, always in the now. Vedas are always here in the now. Those wisdom teachings are relevant now, always now. And they're relevant 10,000 years from now, 20,000 years from now, and they're relevant 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, and so on. That's what the Vedas represents, a living body of wisdom. And so Ganesh shares that with us. He's sharing that. He's holding it. He's also very known for astrologers. Astrologers invoke Ganesha, the Jyotish. They invoke him because he represents that light. He's the wisdom body of light. Yeah, Jupiter, expansiveness, expansive, big belly. Must have big belly. There's so much to know. So, yeah, Ganesha, so beautiful, huh? So in this course, we're going to be doing a yoga class specifically for Ganesha, breath practices, mudras, mantras, asanas. In the afternoon, that's 8 o'clock this Saturday. 2 o'clock this Saturday, I'll be sharing more about Ganesha, more on this topic of Ganesha and what he represents, his iconography, and visualizations, mantras, more mantra practices. So we really hope you join us. Join us this Saturday. I'll be sharing that. And then Lakshmi will share about Saraswati, so we will share that.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we'd start out with a mantra also, like we did for Ganesh. So let's just sit up wherever you are. And so her seed syllable is Aim. It's usually spelled like A-I-M phonetically, the Sanskrit syllable. Aim. So we're just going to sing, let's just put our fingers into Gyan Mudra, and then just kind of put them right near our throat chakra. Because she represents speech and sound. So we're just going to call that grace and her grace and attention to our throat chakra. And we're going to chant, Om Aim Saraswati Namaha. So let's chant that together. Om Aim Saraswati Namaha. Om Aim Saraswati Namaha.
Sarasvatiyaye. That's a tough one. Sarasvatiyaye. Sarasvatiyaye. Try it.
Om Aim Saraswatiyaye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatiyaye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatiyaye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatiyaye Namaha. One more time. Om Aim Saraswatiyaye Namaha. So I'm just, it's very blissful for me to be able to share and teach about the goddesses. And Saraswati is a very key goddess in the Vedic spirituality, the Vedic system, philosophy, and mythology. She's actually one of the oldest goddesses represented in the Rig Veda. And that goes back, we don't really know actually how old truly the Rig Veda is, but it's, maybe 2000 BC, some people say 3000 BC, but it existed even before that in like oral traditions and just passed down. So really Saraswati is a quite ancient goddess because she's one of the goddesses mentioned a lot actually in the Rig Veda. And originally there's many stories, all these creation stories, all the mythologies. There's a lot of different stories. And one story is that there was a terrible fire on the earth caused by a big battle, and it was actually in India. And the fire was raging out of control. And I guess at this time, Saraswati was already in existence, and the gods were trying to figure out what to do about this fire. And so Saraswati, they decided, could come down to the earth and embody this river, this mighty river, Saraswati. And then she helped put out the great fires that were going to just engulf the world. So I love bringing the relevance also to the deities to the present day. And just thinking about that, thinking about all the wildfires on the planet right now, and just thinking about, once upon a time in some dimension, there was Saraswati who came and embodied the water and the river, and she put out the fires. so her name actually, it's so beautiful, her name, because, and there's a few different translations of her name, but basically, because she is associated with the river and the waters, her water means her name means like pools of water. Like, I think that's so amazing. Her name, Saraswati, like the pooling of water. And in another translation, her name means the essence of the self, like Sara meaning essence, and Swati bringing back to the self, Saraswati. And so she has this kind of, multi-dimensional purpose and effect in many realms. And of course, she is the consort of Brahma, the creator of the universe in, many mythologies in the Hindu mythology. And there's a lot of stories I want to share with you. So I'll be sharing more of these stories and creation stories, how Saraswati came into being, and just her qualities and her powers and her meaning for people, for humans, and throughout the Vedas, how she appears. And over time, she comes in as the goddess of speech, of sound. And then as time goes on, she's becoming the goddess of the arts and music and the rhythm of music and the love of the music, the devotion, the anuraga of the music. So she has many layers to her. And at the same time, she does overall represent this purity of consciousness and this purity of being. She's dressed in white. She sits on a white lotus, and she's also known as the mother of the Vedas. So she is the one who helps us come into this deeper or higher wisdom of enlightenment. So she's very specific in that way for musicians, for artists, creators, for linguists, language, speech, sound. So really, she's a goddess that many of us chanters, singers, creators, writers, sound healers, it's really wonderful to evoke her name and sing her mantras to bring in that grace for our work. So we'll find out a lot more about her on Sunday. Yeah. And also I will be sharing the yoga class in the morning with the Sattva Yoga Foundation. And so it'll be aligned with Saraswati's energy and her mantras, her kriyas, and we'll be doing this really beautiful creative flow that has extra refinement and channeling this wisdom through our practice on that day. So yeah, and that will leave you also with some really valuable tools for yourself in your own practice to bring in the energy of Saraswati into your life. and that grace as she's, she rides a swan. Her vehicle, her vana, is a swan. And that is just so beautiful to meditate on. Just the idea of this beautiful goddess dressed in white on her white lotus, and her white swan, all at the same time. We'll be connecting with her on Sunday. And then on Sunday night, we're going to be joining back together, Ananda and I, and we'll be singing together, kind of like a little concert, just sharing more mantras for Ganesh and Saraswati to celebrate the new beginnings, the new opportunities, to bring in that fresh energy, that fresh perspective. Just the expansion.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think? Are you interested? Want to learn more? We had this kind of inspiration. We just felt it, and we're like, we want to share more about the deities. We just released this album. Have you heard it? Lakshmi Dreams. It's a brand new album that we're kind of slowly releasing throughout the next 3 months. But the first 3 tracks dropped October 1st. So already a couple tracks. One's to Lakshmi, one's to Hanuman, one's to Durga. And so you can check that out. New music. Please, put it on your playlist or something like that. It helps to just get the music out there, or download it. But we have this whole theme of like, well, if we're going to be putting out music, I feel like we felt like we could offer more in-depth experience of the deities. And so we decided to come up with this course because, for us, Lakshmi's been at it for a lot longer than I have, but together we've been doing it since 2011, really. And it's just been such a profound part of our journey to chant the mantras, to connect with the deities, the energies of the deities, the personalities of the deities, and how that plays out. This is an important concept of how it plays out in the mundane, like your day-to-day existence, and in the celestial, in your meditative, in your expansive states, because that it's all being played out at the same time. It just depends on where your awareness is, where your consciousness is. So even if you're in your mundane practices, still Saraswati and Ganesh are playing out. Still, you can elevate your awareness, elevate your mind to be in that place of, oh, this is the grace of Saraswati, that I have these tools, this wisdom teachings. But the technology itself is an evolution of consciousness, an evolution of technology to get us to this place here. So that's Saraswati's grace, that evolving wisdom teachings, whether it's arts, whether it's culture, technology, communication.
Yeah.
So here we are. We are in the experience of Saraswati. All we have to do is shift our awareness. All we have to do is elevate our awareness, and then go into deep appreciation, deep reverence. And in this example, it just so happens that Saraswati is this beautiful goddess. So what if, for your own experience, the deep appreciation and reverence of all this communication, all this technology and wisdom teaching and arts was this beautiful goddess who rides on the swan, and how to deepen into your heart and deepen into your human experience, because ultimately it's just a play of consciousness. We're here in this play of consciousness. So these Vedic teachings, these deities, they call them Ishtas, they are a way for us to expand our consciousness, expand our awareness to realize the divinity that's always playing out. It never stops. Ever newness. That is what Saraswati, what Shakti is, like constant creativity. We're never experiencing the same thing twice. Even though there's a lot of repetitiveness of what we feel is similar, ultimately it's always something new. And that is this concept of constant creativity, Saraswati, constant creativity. Shakti, that's just flowing.
And Saraswati being the refinement, the constant refinements and beautification, and that's ultimately her purpose, is to keep refining, so all beings come to this place of enlightenment, like the highest expression, the highest divine expressions. So that's kind of infinite in itself. It's not like you get to the highest divine expression and that's it. It's just, that's kind of an infinite experience, really. And so that's what she's about, and she's ever leading us to that deeper, more expanded beauty and refinement of everything, of music, of speech. Like, in some other yuga, like the Satya Yuga, the golden age of humanity, according to the Vedic stories and Vedic timelines, it's that's a yuga where we can, right now, it's hard for us to fathom the expansiveness of consciousness in that yuga, like how the humans actually live and what they can hear, and the sounds that come out of their mouths and how they sing. And so it's kind of like that. It's just to keep expanding our capacity, for beauty and for the celestial sounds to come, because it really is infinite, and we're only experiencing a certain amount of it here on Earth. And certainly, some of the great musicians and singers of humanity and have tapped into that energy, and that's the energy when and you just feel like, oh, there's just so exquisite. It's so exquisite. How could anything sound more exquisite? And so that's really the energy of Saraswati. Just bringing that into the earth right now, bringing that onto the planet I think is really, really needed. It's really crucial right now. And like Ananda said, all these technologies that we use, we can use them, in the mood of Saraswati. That would be the higher path to take. If we can use the technology for the enlightenment, for the expansion of consciousness, for the beauty, and for the intelligence, for the learning of the spiritual knowledge, for sharing the spiritual wisdom, that would be the prayer that we would put forth for Saraswati to come and bless all of our technological ventures.
And you often see Ganesh, Saraswati, and Lakshmi together.
Right.
Three murti, three gods, three goddesses.
Yeah.
Well, gods and goddesses. So if you have those three on your team, you are pretty much good to go. Because Ganesh, is the remover of obstacles, bringing in of auspicious blessings, bringing in the contentment, like I said earlier, enjoyment of life. And then Lakshmi is like this celebration of abundance, prosperity, thriving, fertility, and a dedication towards awakening. The lotus, she's always like the goddess, the lotus flower, so she's the goddess of the lotus, awakening, enlightening process of consciousness. And then Saraswati is that grace of the wisdom, the arts, and the refinement. So you have this very beautiful, comprehensive experience. And it's more of I would say all that's more of in this concept of enjoying life, of the sukha, the pleasure of life. Just that we get to enjoy life and be spiritually aware, the miracle of life. And so it's a really beautiful teaching there for all of us, that we can just sink into the deep appreciation and miracle of life. and invoke. That's when we share our gratitude, share our appreciation, share our love. And so through our music, this is one thing that we have found, that we just, we chant, and the music that comes through is just this, it's like an opening to share our hearts and to channel in whatever the frequencies that want to come through. and that happens through mantra, mantra is the most subtle aspect. It's the vibrational aspect of the deity. So when you chant the mantra of the deity, it's actually the most subtle, but it's also the closest vibration to the closest thing to the deity. So typically it's like mantra is the closest, and the next is yantra, the geometrical figures, geometrical designs of the deities, which each deity has. And then there's the actual physical kind of depiction of the deity. And so all are really beautiful and necessary, but it's a little bit more like the physical is more of this association with kind of the visual, maybe the senses, like you're depicting kind of how to use your imagination, use your mentality, your mind, to merge with that. But then there's deeper levels of it, because then the yantras, the geometrical shapes, represent going into like the cosmic design of what they represent. And then mantra is this most subtlest vibrational frequency that you're just tuning into, just a vibration of it. And from there, that just carries you into infinity. There's no end. That's the concept with mantra, that it's just carrying you in infinity, but it's elevating your consciousness. You're constantly elevating. You're using mantra, using the mind, using the sound of the mantras to use the mind to project towards infinity and expand your awareness. So, how does that sound? Shall we chant? You guys want to join us this weekend? We'll share a lot more. There'll be a lot more happening. So Saturday, Ganesha, Sunday, Saraswati. Every day, 8 o'clock, yoga, 8 to 10. It's full on, full journey. And then 2 o'clock, wisdom teachings for each one, Saraswati and Ganesh.
And he's doing Ganesh, and I'll be doing the Saraswati on Sunday.
Work in my trunk. My bad belly.
Oh yeah.
I have to eat more.
You have to have a tray of bliss balls with you.
If you come, I will bring you bliss balls.
Make sure we have loads of bliss balls.
And then Sunday night, 7 o'clock, chant concert, where we'll do mostly focus on Ganesh and Saraswati, and of course throw in a couple other classics. So why don't we end with one last chant, and then we'll call it good. So come sitting up straight. Sharanam means I take refuge. I take refuge in the deity that we're invoking. So maybe you heard this before. I'll sing once, you repeat. Kirtan style. Ganesha Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha.
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 Ganesha Sharanam 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 Sharanam Ganesha.
Jai Ganesha! All right, well, thank you again all so much for joining. And if you want to learn more, hang out with us this weekend. Embodiment of the Divine, the start of our new course on the deities of India. Some of our favorites.
I mean,
Not all of them.
what would you rather be doing this weekend, right? Let's bring some attention over to deities, kirtan, learning, the divine wisdom, and let's fill our time with that this weekend. Very auspicious.
Namaste, friends. Hari Om
Hari
Tat Sat.
Om. That's it. Namaste. All right.